Welcome to our pod, and by that I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are two best friends who are doing a deep dive into a book series, one book at a time. Right now we are shiting on the wheel of time, and we will be discussing chapters 1 through 27 of Robert Jordan's Lord of Chaos. Well, prologue plus through chapter 27, because the prologue is its own book.
The prologue is so long.
It's not a prologue anymore, guys. Like, if it goes over 15 pages.
Why couldn't that have just been separate chapters?
I don't know.
We'll
I think
it's there.
He's setting up the plot. I'm about to set up the plot for you. But before we get there, Laura, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying?
So I've been really busy, so I'm still in A Discovery of Witches. But I have been watching some of the Olympics.
Oh, how are those going?
So I'm not a sports person.
I mean, me neither. I have not watched a single...
like the Olympics. And I've been watching some of the gymnastics, some of the water polo. I watched table tennis. That was cool. And swimming.
That's fun.
So,
did you see, I was listening to a podcast and they talked about Simone Biles, how she was about to do like a vault that no one had ever done before. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that.
Okay. Well, I was just curious because I just heard about it.
She didn't have as good of the vault. She didn't land as well as she could have.
That's what I've heard, but I heard like it doesn't affect her scoring as much because what she does is so complicated.
Right.
Yes.
And also her composure throughout all the events is so impressive, because if that was me and I had to do some of these really complicated things and I would have like hopped off the mat like that, I probably would have just sobbed. But she is so put together. I can't get over it.
Yeah, that's good.
What have you been watching and reading?
I am doing a week of fun employment, guys. I'm moving jobs. I quit my job 2 weeks ago. I will be moving on to a much healthier job for me and out of the big law lifestyle. Just so everyone knows, I was working at a big law firm and it was not for me. So I'm changing jobs now. So today I literally was the most productive and fun employment that you could possibly be. I woke up, I took the dogs on a 3-mile walk, and then, maybe it was only like 2.3 or something. And that it might be an exaggeration that it was 3, but I got us a cup of coffee, some dog biscuits from a coffee place we always go to. The dogs now expect or doggy biscuits when we go there. They're like looking at them like, are you going to grab 2 for us? Are you? And so we had a nice long walk, and then I came home. I cleaned the entire apartment top to bottom while finishing up on Lord of Chaos on the audiobook. And then I hung up, we have a bunch of pictures that we haven't hung up in our like upstairs hallway yet. Mm-hmm. And we hadn't hung up a couple of other things. I hung up everything. I did laundry. I just was like so productive.
That's awesome.
And then I got done and I sat down and I finished Lord of Chaos by then. And then I finished a book that I've been trying to get through for like weeks that I keep like putting off for other books because it's an ebook, and it's called The Ninth Metal. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I would say it's a sci-fi where like this new metal comes down to Earth and it gives 2 people like magical powers pretty much. But like, and then people are like using it as a drug, and like it's being used, like they're trying to mine it because it's very like lucrative. And it's focused on this family, and it's the first in the trilogy. And I will say it is fine. It's not my favorite sci-fi I've ever read. The plot feels a little rushed. Like it's only 290 pages, and like a sci-fi setting up a world that's now run by a new metal that came down to Earth and like may bring aliens. I wish there was more.
I was going to say, I feel like most sci-fis have so much world building that 200 some pages doesn't seem enough.
Right. And so it just kind of felt a little bit rushed, and like I just felt like I was getting whiplash through it. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, I might read the next one to see where they go. It just came out. I got it off of NetGalley for free.
Sure.
But I'm interested to see where the world takes them. I just felt like there could have been more world building, and everything tied up a little neatly at the end of this book. But then I'm also still reading A Darker Shade of Magic, which is the Schwab's second book in her Shades of Magic series. I really enjoy these books. I forgot how much I really liked the first one.
Sure.
And the thing is like reading, we've obviously been doing such a deep dive into Jordan. Reading a female author is so refreshing just because like it deals with a little bit more of the nuances that I wish we sometimes saw in Robert Jordan's characters. Like there was something that happened in the first book that has repercussions on both people who it affects in the second book in a way that's like it's dealing with the psychological issues that come with it and like such a deep way that I'm like, this is so interesting because neither party's wrong, but each party is frustrated with the other's actions and how they're dealing with this thing. And I just like that so much. And I'm really enjoying it. And I will enjoy it for the next, like, I'm guessing day or two, because I would finish it tomorrow based on how fast I'm reading through everything. But I'm going to go see one of our friends tomorrow. And I haven't really been able to watch anything. We just said goodbye. You guys know from the podcast, Ronnie reads regularly. She is moving tomorrow across country. So I saw her this weekend instead of watching TV. So I'm still doing my dive into Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Although Adrian Pimento just came on the scene, which always makes me happy.
I love Adrian Pimento.
Also, one of my favorite scenes on this rewatch is when Rosa's breaking up with her boyfriend, it's Captain Holt's nephew. And she's like, I'm going to send him a text message. We're done. And sneak out in the middle of the night. And
Rosa is amazing.
And Captain Holt is like, don't you think it could be a little bit more personal? And she goes, best regards. And he's like, perfect. And then
they're like on the same level. It's so great.
And the next day he goes, I told Kevin about our plans on you breaking up with Marcus. And he said that we are, and I quote, sociopaths. And it's so funny. Like, I laughed out loud. I thought it was the most hysterical moment of the show so far.
Hannah, who was your favorite character? You said was it Holt?
It was probably Holt, probably.
Okay.
I love one, like that's my favorite is Creed, because Creed says like really random stuff and like it's so
like,
funny.
You take 1 year off from doing your job.
Or when there's like the bring the kids to work day or something, and they're like, or when one of the episodes,
Creed what do you do here? And he goes, yes, I do.
Goes over, like smash cuts to Reed, and he's like, she's in here asking questions, man. What do I do? It begins with a Q.
I love when he dyes his hair in the ageism episode, and he says, I'm 30. Well, I'll be 30.
I also love when Ryan gets him a fake website and he's like, I do have a blog, creedthoughts.org. And he's like,
just Microsoft Word.
And then Ryan goes, I've read some of that stuff. It's pretty dark stuff.
Quabity Ashwin.
Boo body. He's trying to make acronyms.
Worst manager ever.
Oh gosh, yes. So I think, but you said Boyle was your favorite, so we both
Charles,
have our
for sure, my favorite.
Yeah,
I really identify with that type of character though, because he is so sweet and like he will do anything for his friends, and he is also just so weird, and I love it so much.
Also, Laura and I just took quizzes on which Robert Jordan character you are, and we both got a queen.
The queen.
So,
but let me just say that the questions for that were a little too simple, because it was like, which profession would you rather have? Doctor, lawyer, gambler, or...
I did like the gambler.
Okay, if you pick gambler, obviously you're going to be Matt.
Right? That's so funny. But I got agreed, and then I got Rand, and then everyone else was just like so small. And I'm like, I think in my head I just have main character energy, so I skewed the quiz that way.
As long as Fail wasn't in like the top 2, I'm happy with it.
Counting it as a win. That is like no spoilers, because like it doesn't come up in this, but like, do you remember when I said something about Fail and I said she seems like someone who says I don't get along with women because of the drama?
Yeah.
In this book, I think I proved that was actually a pretty good take.
Yeah.
And you said, I didn't get that from her. And I was like, oh, it feels that way. And like, I want it on record. Hannah was 1,000% right on that take. Fail is a woman who cannot get along with other women.
All the women are being dramatic with each other. And
well, that's true.
Just
but like,
bad.
Some women actually like
they can't
each
even
other.
Be friends with the other people, and they're like, I'm jealous so-and-so being friends with this one. And I'm like, really?
That is fair. I know that made me so mad. Okay, well, we
Let's
can get into it. What a week. Sorry, that's another
Let me
podcast
just
I
begin
listened to.
by saying that the true Lord of Chaos is Robert Jordan.
He is the true Lord of Chaos because
I
boy,
don't know
does
if
this book have like so many things going on in
I
it.
don't know if one of the Forsaken or Mazrim Time is supposed to be the Lord of Chaos, but it's Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan is the Lord of Chaos.
Robert Jordan is the Lord of Chaos. So, smash cut. We come in on Demandred as he's going into Shale Ghul. He's giving updates that Ravin has been killed to the Dark Lord, and Lanfear and Asmodean have vanished, and they can't find Mogadine. And the Dark One already knew about Ravin, and Demandred is like, dude, how do you know that? Then we jump over to Nynaeve, and she's studying with Suyan and Liane using Mogadine, or as she is known to the other people, isn't it like Marin or something?
It's like Marigan or something like
Marigan,
that.
Yeah. Mogadine didn't try very hard on her alias, guys.
Right.
They all kind of trust each other, but they also hate working together. Like everyone's just in contention.
Yeah.
Suyan and Liane can feel Mogadine's emotions when they wear the idom that Elaine created,
yeah,
but they can't
like this bracelet.
Yeah, but they can't exert force over her. But Nynaeve takes this as a way that she can definitely heal them because there's still a spark in them and they can still recognize the source. They find out that they revealed that Min is going off with a bunch of Aes Sedai to go see Rand, and Elaine is like, "What?" And
She's
Nynaeve,
so jealous. Like, what? You get to go see Rand.
And Nynaeve and Elaine are using information they got from Mogadine and pretending they discovered it. But Elaine can actually make like the Angreals that she's making. That's real. But everything else, they're just cheating on their tests. But oh no, it's very cool. But then they're just cheating on tests.
Oh yeah.
That's all they're doing. Elaine goes searching for Min. They cry about how they both love Rand. Gareth Bryn has agreed to have an army against Elida. They're like all these Aes Sedai have picked up on like the tricks super fast that Elaine and Nynaeve have been showing them.
Because she's been like kind of giving classes.
Yeah. And they've like picked up, they have like eavesdropping tricks now. They also have invisibility and they can invert weaves. But they don't tell them about illusion, like changing their looks, compulsion, and hiding one's ability to channel, because they don't want people to realize that Mogadine can channel. And they know that compulsion is illegal and it's too repulsive. Elaine asks Min to take a letter to Rand, and Rand agrees. Elaine agrees. Rand doesn't agree. He doesn't want to talk to her anymore. Min wonders about Brigitte background, and Min was born in the mines in the mountains of mist, and she's a little bit older than Rand, we find out in this book. Then we cut over to Fael, and she's holding court for Perrin, and the wise ones don't respect her.
Why would you?
I don't know. Not the wise ones, the women's circle. Yeah. There's so many different words for smart women in this series.
The old ladies of the village or the tribe or whatever, like old ladies, whatever. She
knows that Two Rivers has changed so much, and then she also like literally runs a woman off with a stick to leave Perrin alone when she finds like the woman who's trying to like sweeten up to him.
Weird about like, get away from my man.
Yeah. She goes to find him and he's like, I feel Rand. I need to go to him. And she's like, why do I have to share him with the stupid dragon report? And he's like, I already told Tam and Abel, could you please leave? Could you please stay and run this court for me? And she was like, I'm going to go with him because I don't respect his opinion. We go over to Hannah's least favorite character of the series so far, Gawain.
He is.
We'll get there. Gawain, guys. I hate him so much.
He's gonna get so bad.
He is Hannah's worst, like worse than Fael. I really hate Gawain.
He's not worse than Fael.
I hate him because of what he does to my favorite character. Okay, like Fael does the worst to your favorite character.
Fael is the worst.
They're both the worst. They're just the fucking worst. And he's like obsessed with how he let Suyan escape and his love for Elaine and Egwene. And he hears a rumor that his mom's died because of Rand and maybe even Elaine. And he thinks about his oath to always protect Elaine, and he intends to kill Rand. We leave him and we go over to Katarine Aes Sedai, who's like Elida's crew. And they're meeting with Savannah from the Shido Aiel, who was like married to Couladin, his brother before him. And they're scheming about Rand. Elida hinted that she wants to be rid of Gawain. I mean, me too, girl. And they have orders to keep Rand alive. It's revealed that Katarine and Galena, who's also in the crew, are both Black Aja. Savannah is now like a controversially accepted wise one, so she's supposed to be safe from like other Aiel. Each group despises one another. The Aes Sedai hate the wise ones hate the Aes Sedai. Women hate women, guys. They plan to kidnap Rand from them once the Aes Sedai have them, and she was given a Kinslayer's dagger and a call box from a strange wetlander to be able to like kidnap Rand and control him. We go over to Morgay. She has a guest in Amador, and she is like effectively a beggar. Pedro Niel enters and offers his support as the White Cloaks, even though if she walks in the light, because she trained with the Aes Sedai, so she's obviously evil because they are fascists. And they discuss the Logain rumors about being set up by the Red Aes Sedai, Red Aja, yeah. He says Gabriel is dead, and Rand now holds Caemlyn and Kyrian, and people think she is dead. And as we predicted in the last book, they're going to join forces and try to take Rand down, even though he would just give her throne back.
And email people.
He leaves and she worries. A young man comes in called Pater Cunnel, and he offers her help in escaping. She grills him on news from Andor, which my notes wrote as Fandor, which I kind of like as a name. Pedro Niel's in the Fortress of Light. He thinks he can use Rand for his own advantage. He thinks the Saladar Aes Sedai might be a ploy to support Rand, so he orders Caradan to stay away from Saladar. He sends Caradan to Altara. We cut over to some more Forsaken. It's Missana and Semarag. They're waiting for Demandred. Semarag wears black because Lanfear wears white, which is the dumbest reason to wear a color ever.
They hate Lanfear.
They all hate Lanfear. But it's okay. She's
fair.
Dead. Fair. She is also the worst. Missana hates being around Semarag. It's been 17 days since Demandred visited Shal Ghul. Missana went there twice herself, but the Great Lord and the strange large Murdral, who's like super creepy, would not speak. And like nobody likes this Murdral. It's just hanging around. Did
they speak before? Did we know that they could speak?
I think we knew they could speak.
Because for some reason I was thinking like Trollocs couldn't speak, and then it was like a weird thing that Rand could communicate with them. And for some reason I was thinking that like Myrdral also couldn't speak.
I think you're getting confused with some parcel tongue, girl.
I don't think it's parcel tongue. Go back to Eye of the World, like when the Trollocs attack.
I thought he could understand them. They just like yell and really weird.
I thought he understood them though.
Well, I thought everyone could understand them, but okay.
Wheel of Time super fans, get at me.
At us. But anyway, like the Murdral, I keep picturing Parks and Rec. Remember April's one weird friend? Orin? Yes, just like in the background lurking.
You know, Orin has a degree in zoology.
You don't know the Murdral's background. You don't know his education level. It's noted that Demandred was born the day after Luther and always just a step after him. He despised him and now transferred the feelings onto Rand. Demandred arrives. Then Grendel says that Samael is not coming. He spends his time with his army in Ilion, like freaking out over Rand and searching for Angruel. There are too many guards around to stash in the White Tower and get the stash in the Stone of Fear. Grendel is disdainful of the White Tower. They think they will have Rand soon. They don't know where Missana has established herself, but no, she is a researcher. They have an order to let the Lord of Chaos rule, but Missana thinks that is a gamble. Then we go over to Asangar, who's amazed to be alive in his new body. His companion, Arangar, is furious about her new body, despite her beauty. And Asangar thinks Arangar's body is suitable for a dying dancer. A giant Murdral appears and names itself Shadar Haran. Trollocs have a sense of humor, but Fades do not. Asangar helps make the Trollocs, but he is still uneasy around Fades. He's worried about Arangar's recklessness, which makes Lanfear seem cautious, which, boy, how is that person not dead yet? Sure enough, she tries to attack Shadar Haran and is effortlessly choked by Asangar finds himself blocked from the true source. Shadar Haran tells them they should be grateful. They could be like Raven, whose soul is beyond saving. They will now be allowed. Oh, I love that as a verb. They will now be allowed to serve the Great Lord again. None but Shadar Haran and the Great Lord know that they are alive. It laughs. Asangar is shocked. Spades have no sense of humor. That's the dumbest plot point.
Why was that mentioned?
Why? I don't know. Rand and Camelin a few weeks after the last book.
Finally out of the prologue.
Chapter 1, guys. Chapter 1, 15 minutes into Hannah's description. We find Rand and Camelin a few weeks after the last book. He really wants Elaine to get there. Fael's dad, Bashir, is there. And
I was going to say,
Rand.
Why is he suddenly like Rand's most trusted advisor?
I don't know, but
this is just for plot purposes because he wanted to make it convenient. Like, how can we get Perrin here? I know. Let's get his father-in-law.
It was incredibly weird because like I kept being like Bashir, that Bashir.
Yeah,
I was so confused.
It was so stupid. I was like, well, apparently he showed up in the last book. Who remembers that? It was so brief, but
that was very brief. Then
I was like, this is just because Robert Jordan wanted to be like, I need to get Perrin back, and I'm not sure how to do it. Father-in-law, right?
So he's meeting with nobles to assure them that he doesn't want to stay there, and Rand keeps hearing Lews Therin in his head more and more. Then Mazrim Taim comes in, who was a false dragon in the last book. He escaped on his way to Tar Valon. Everyone panics, but Rand knows he can use Taim. He doesn't seem affected by the heat, which they point out when people are not sweating so often because summer.
I mean, I also like to point that out. Like, oh, it's 100 degrees and you're not sweating.
That's it. I would just be like, I think you need water. You might be dehydrated. Lack of water, like lack of sweat, it's a sign that you're dehydrated.
My hair is wet with sweat. How are you not?
Lews Therin keeps trying to scream at Rand to kill Taim.
Screaming, like if you're listening to the audiobook, it's like the narrator's like, kill him! Kill him! At which point I'm like, is this a reincarnation or is this like some kind of weird soul living within him? It's creepy to me.
Actually, you got creeped out by it. I just thought, how is this gonna work in the TV show? Like, are you just gonna randomly hear this voice be like, kill him, and then I was like, you know what would be more effective? And I don't know why.
It's like Sean Connery, like a little like not hieroglyphic, a little, what am I thinking of? The little thing that pops up on your shoulder.
Yeah. Like the devil on your shoulder.
Yes. He's like, kill him. Or if we could get Pete Davidson to do the voice that he did in that one SNL skit, that would be perfect.
I don't know what that skit is.
Oh my gosh, I'll send it to you.
But I was also thinking, like, could they be like it would also be funny if like Rand, it shows like his mind where he's just in a dark room by himself and all of a sudden like a Lews Therin actor pops up and he's like, kill him, and Rand's like,
also
get
creepy.
Out of my head. I know it could be very creepy, but I'm just wondering how it's going to work at the TV show. I was very thoughtful about that every time I listened to it. Yeah, I don't
where
know.
It would make sense to viewers that have never read the book, you know what I mean?
Right, but I don't know. And then so they like Taim discusses with him, like, I remember seeing you at the Great Hunt book where you were fighting in the clouds. And Rand was like, yeah, that's actually Ishmael. It wasn't the dark one. And he's like, cool beans. And then Taim tries to be like, we could work together. And Rand is like, don't, like, I'm the Dragon Reborn. We don't work together. You work for me, bro. And Taim is like, okay, you were right. I was just trying to see if like you would go for it.
You called my bluff.
He also hands over a seal, like from the Dark One's prison.
And now he's got 3 of them.
Yeah, Rand does not like Taim, but he takes him to a farm where he like is attempting to show men how to channel. And it's also noted that Rand now like carries the sword, the belt from Avienda, and his dragon scepter that he got from Xian Chen from the last book.
Is this whole farm thing weird to you like it is to me?
I didn't think it was that weird.
That they're like gathering men and we're training this army.
I mean, I just saw it as like a training camp.
Okay. Maybe I think it's just everything around this Mazrim Taim is weird. But
I mean, Mazrim Taim is weird because I'm like, is he actually going to turn out to be evil, or is it going to be a drop plot point?
Immediately, I was like, Dark Friend.
I'm not sure. I didn't get Dark Friend vibes, but you're usually faster.
It could be just like that
Dark Friend than I am.
I always call Dark Friend right away.
Laura would be terrible at that murder mystery party because I feel like you would just like stare at someone and you'd be like, you're the murderer.
I would love to go to one of those. I have said multiple times that I would love to go to one of those murder mystery parties, but the thing is, you're right. I would call it too early. I'd be like, you're the murderer. You're the murderer.
It's amazing. But he brings Time through a gateway, and Time's like, how do you do that? And Rand's like, I guess I'll show you, even though I don't like you, but like,
He
whatever.
shows him too much.
I know. I do think he
He's so
doesn't hold back
sketchy.
enough. I know. He is pretty sketchy. And then Rand is just using gateways all over the place. He
Right.
goes over to Tyr, and he takes maidens with him wherever he goes. The guards around the tent are Thunderwalkers led by Royden. And Rand asks Royden where like all these people are. They're like discussing fighting. They're discussing going after Samael and the need to take Ilion, but they need to wait for Matt. After the men leave, two wise women are like, here's how you need to treat Avienda. And Rand is like, mind your business. And then
it's like, I don't want to listen to you, but okay, I will, because I do want to go after her. Okay.
God, I love her so much, even though we've never talked about it or what a healthy relationship would look like. Rand and the maidens return to Camelin late that night. Avienda is on her pallet, but she is still awake and bids him goodnight. Rand thinks that his real plans for Samael are like a huge joke that he, Matt, and Bashir know, but nobody else does. And both he and Matt discuss that all the time.
I know.
Matt is out and about with his band of the Red Hand. He's dancing with women, asking if they're the daughters of the Nine Moon. He's
dancing with Betsy.
Yeah, he's seeing Rand a lot. He's being Matt and headed for Tyr. He runs into this kid where his dad was killed by the Shido Aiel and his mom died of unknown causes, and he tries to find him a home, which good on Matt.
Yeah.
Ream homing children you don't know. Samael is going to Grendel's place. He hates talking with her because she toys with him. He's mad that Rand is coming for him. Grendel claims that she passed on everything Demandred told them of the Great Lord's orders. She claims she knows nothing of Demandred's, Messana's, or Semarag's plan, and Semarag missed their last meeting. I like that. I'm sorry I do this, guys. I don't know if you noticed it. I notice it. Whenever I'm talking about the Forsaken, I act like it's like some big, like I'm just like, I think it's just I want to get through their stuff so fast that I like try to say it all in one breath.
I also think it's the way that they read it in the audiobook where they make it sound like that. Because all of those characters, they kind of talk like this, and it's Dracula.
It's a subterfuge.
I want to suck your blood. That type of stuff.
Messana keeps saying she will have Rand soon, but she says that every time. So it's like Woman Who Cried Wolf.
I'll get you soon, Rand. All four.
And your little pretties, too.
Shakes fist angrily.
She was very proud of Bilal's trap and tear as well. And it's like, it didn't work. So why are you proud about it? Like, I didn't understand
another thing to be proud of.
Samael says events south have Demandred's mark. He refuses to leave Ilion and leaves, cutting a servant in half, which unnecessary.
Right.
Grendel wonders if like she is actually like hiding from Samael, like being under subterfuge. She knows that Messana has been in the White Tower, but she does not know where Semarag and Demandred are. The three of them do have a history of working together. Semarag is summoned to question an Aes Sedai by Shadar Haran, who is the boss, which is weird because Myrtle. She tortures her, and the woman says her name is Cabriana Missandei. She then goes over to the warder, like the Aes Sedai's warder. She gives him pleasure, and then she kills him. She is happy, and she was happy that it doesn't kill the Aes Sedai. Cut to Elaine a few weeks later with Nynaeve. Elaine has been making more copies of Angriel. She goes to Tela Anriad, and they meet up with the Aes Sedai and Suyan and Liani, who are still pretending to be fighting because women be fighting. The meetings with the white ones never, or with the wise ones, the white ones. Sorry,
White Tower, the white cloaks, wise ones.
I know. I mean, this book has so many all names that like, yeah, it's so stupid. They go to the White Tower where there are no longer any stools in Elida's study, showing she is cut off from people. Liani goes to check some messages and Nynaeve follows. They find a report from Danelle that Matin Stepanos accepts the offer, but Rodrin, Aleandra, and Tylan are still thinking about it. There's still an arrest warrant for Moraine, and like showing that she doesn't know she's dead yet. The accepted Shamaran has run away. The fighting in Shinar and Arafel is dying down. There's still no news from Terabon. Shiriam comments that they will know more in a few weeks. There are still orders to return Elaine to the White Tower, or they will envy Rande Makira. Elida has heard about Rand's amnesty and is furious. There are currently 294 Aes Sedai in the White Tower, nearly a third of what was there before. There are slightly more in Saladar, which no fucking kidding. You tried to take over things with like sheer force and it didn't work with people who
people don't want to be forced to stay here.
God, Elida has sent an embassy to Rand and Kyrian to escort him to the White Tower. They hear a scream out in the hall. Carlinia is trapped in a nightmare of Trollocs. The other Aes Sedai try to help and are shortly trapped themselves. Elaine and Suyon realize they can't help from the outside, and they just like wade right into the dream.
I was gonna say that just seemed too convenient.
Well, it was also just weird because they were like, I guess we got to go in there now.
I guess we'll go in to save them.
Elaine finally gets them to disbelieve sufficiently so that the nightmare leaves. Suyon says that she'll stay and search a little while longer, but the Aes Sedai are ready to leave immediately. They insist that Elaine goes back as well. Before returning, she goes to the Grand Hall, and she worries over Rand. Yes.
Well, she doesn't like him on the throne.
Yeah, she hates that he has a throne there. And he's like, I'm waiting for you. Like, dude, just get here. And then it shows that Demandred saw her and that she didn't like what was going on. Nynaeve spends hours in Tar Valon in the dream world. She wakes up and she's sensing bad weather, but it does not come. Elaine has a novice class to teach. Nynaeve worries over Lan. She runs into a room hiding from someone who wants to make her work because Nynaeve hates working.
Theodrin.
Yeah, Theodrin. And Logan.
Who is weird.
Yeah, she's a very weird person, but she runs in.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay. We'll get to her. She's coming up. She sees Logain, and they're like bringing nobles to meet him so he can tell them that Red Aja used him. I said Raja.
Raja, the tiger from Aladdin.
Or the Red Aja, just said much faster. And she wonders if the Red Aja set up other false dragons, and it's like they didn't even set up that one. So
like they're not good at that. So
no. Outside, Suyon and Bryn are fighting. He orders to tell her to tell Sheriam to stop avoiding him, and it's time to start moving. Bryn leaves and Liani walks up. They ignore Nynaeve when she's like, hey, I wanted to study you guys. And they're like, no. Leilani comes out and one of the other Aes Sedai comes out and questions Nynaeve about Rand, Perrin, Mat, and Egwene. The topic turns to Nynaeve's study of Suyon and Liani. No Aes Sedai has been stilled in 140 years, and not many people have burnt out. So they're like, why are you studying this? And she's just like, I was given permission, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Right.
And Lelaine is like, go away. Nynaeve sees an unfamiliar Aes Sedai come in, and she thinks she really wants to leave, and she wishes Tom and Julian were back because they're over in Amadecia. Theodrin walks up, and it was revealed that she had a block similar to Nynaeve, and she could only channel when men were around to get them to like her.
Forced men to kiss her and stuff. How weird.
Okay, so this is the start of a very key topic that I would almost give trigger warnings in this book because the way it treats male consent is disgusting. Horrible. And I don't I understand that this was written in 1994, and I do think men were viewed differently, but in 2021, I think it's really important to say that consent is key on both sides. Yes. It can't just be consent is only women, because men are always up to kiss a woman or be a part of dreams that they didn't consent to or build a partnership together. And all of that is blatantly ignored in these books to a point where it made me really upset and angry a lot of the time.
It's going to get worse.
So I would warn people at this point, trigger warning, Robert Jordan does not treat consent well. And I think it only gets worse and worse from here. This is the first hint of how Robert Jordan treats male consent, and it's really gross to me, unfortunately. Yes. And it'll come up a couple of times in this particular episode as well. So people be mindful of that. If there are consent problems, maybe we'll try to give warnings. And so she finds out the only way they were able to break her block was by bringing in a stable hand who was really hot. And then she started channeling.
Was the twin or something?
That was the whole thing where she kept channeling because she was like, a man has to be around. And then they were like, actually, it's his twin sister. And she was like, I'm healed. Okay.
I don't understand. So how does any of that help Nynaeve?
I don't. Well,
that's what I don't understand. Where they're like, I know, we'll bring in something that makes you really happy. And then I
don't know. It doesn't make sense, but I think it's
just
supposed to be
a big pile of chocolate, and then you can do it.
I think it's more supposed to be I got over mine, you can get over yours too.
Yes, but it was just a very strange story.
I know. But then Nynaeve kind of leaves and she's like, okay, I'll start working with you. I won't hide from you. Nynaeve fights with Mogadine. After a while, Elaine returns with news. The Aes Sedai, the Aes Sedai Nynaeve saw is an emissary from the White Tower trying to get people to return. Elaine told Elaine that this is Tarna Fier of the Red Aja. She is meeting with the sitters. They both wonder what her message is, and Nynaeve's sense of bad weather lasts for days. Paige and Niles talking to his people, and they discuss the fact that like Ogier are having studying meetings, sea folk ships are going to southern harbors, and Rand is being seen in many areas. Niles still wants to bide his time with Saladar and is worried that others such as Valdara and Asuna, okay, he's just worried that some of his people will not wait.
Right.
He orders one of his men to start rumors that the Black Aja took over the White Tower and the Aes Sedai and Saladar are petitioning for forgiveness because he wants to pretend they have power. He also orders him to find Elaine and Gawain and bring them to Amador. He is pressing Morghese as hard as he dares. The worst battle has ever fought is here, and he talks about like the worst battle he's ever fought and how it's nothing compared to this because, okay. Morghese is out and about. She's being watched by Niall. They have her in the Fortress of the Light, and she hears people have seen Rand, but they were all like she hears people are going over to Rand, but she's like, well, they're all Gabriel lackeys. So as long as it's not people I actually like, then we smash on over to Rand. He is in the royal palace.
Can I just say something really quick about Morghese in that last chapter? Niall says something about like Gala being her heir or whatever, and she basically is just like, not my kid. Gawain's my kid.
I did notice that where she was what? Like, she's like, well, Galad's not really my kid, but like if he wants to think he is, I guess.
The way that she just brushed that off, I was like, wow.
This guy worked for you for a really long time, but okay. Yeah, I get it. But Rand is in the royal palace. He's like has an entourage with him everywhere he goes right now. He now knows how to not sweat. So he is again dehydrated, people. He hears of 2 Aes Sedai in a nearby inn and another Aes Sedai who's going around healing dogs and cats. So I'm like, that's a Black Aja lady. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Because that was her one personality trait we knew. She liked cats. Rand wonders if Elida heard of the amnesty for his men who can channel. As they walk into the courtyard, Rand sees Avienda and Lews Theron moans about Ileana in Rand's head. Rand is very confused about his feelings for Avienda, Elaine, and Min. Oh, and during this time, Rand keeps telling Lews Theron to shut up, and he's listening. So Rand is like, can I communicate with him?
Wait a minute.
Rand decides to go meet the 2 Aes Sedai and has Jadin saddled. He has his little Angriel with him, so he's like, I trust him myself. He goes there and he discovers, bum, 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 a bunch of women from, or a bunch of girls from Emmons Fields who can all channel. So they were going to be taken to the White Tower.
So it's Varen and Alana from Emmons Field, but Varen says something along the lines of like, Emmons Field is a jackpot if you want to.
Yeah, that's pretty much
women who have the one power.
And then the girls are like, it's Lord Perrin, Rand. It's Lord. You must call him Lord.
Get it right.
And it's like, Rand just watch him with an effing entourage, and you guys don't have any questions about that?
They're like very disturbed that he's the Dragon Reborn and that he's referring to himself as this.
Well, yeah. And that's so then he like goes to talk to Alana and Varen. And again, trigger warning for consent issues. Alana promises she's not doing anything harmful to him, touches him, and then she bonds him without his permission, which in this book they know is akin to rape. So he does this, and he is obviously angered and tries to leave, and he bans them from the inner city because of what she did. The girls were told he's the Dragon Reborn, and they're like, you're not the Dragon Reborn. And so then he gets upset because of the trauma he was just put into, and he yells at them, and he channels 2 girls into the air until they cry. He apologizes and he leaves. We go over to Varen's point of view, and after he leaves, they like calm the girls down, and she doesn't know what happened to Moraine, but she's probably dead. And she's like really worried about all the stuff and all her plans after nearly 70 years of delicate work. And it might go down the drain because of his actions. Then, and she's like, where is Matt? I need to know. But anyway, so then she goes to talk to Alana, and she excuses Alana's actions based on the fact that Alana recently lost her warder and she's sad. And
she's basically like, somebody should have done this a long time ago. We need to have him under our control.
And it's still not okay. It is victim blaming.
I hate that.
are so many problems with this, and it's disgusting. Like, it's just so gross. And that's like Elaine, a big part of her character trait. She's like, Rand's going to be bonded to me whether he likes it or not. And it's like,
she's like, how can I force him to be my warder? Like, what?
Yeah, this is just not okay. Like, after you hear all this stuff about warders, it's just like, how do people not understand that this is a very big deal? And like, it's not something to be taken lightly. It makes me think less of Maureen with how she treated Lan, because you find out so much about
just,
bonding,
passing them around and everything like this. Like, what is going on here? This is not right.
Right. But, and like, even Fael had, like, the only reason they didn't do it to Fael is because she threatened to kill them if they ever bonded.
No. Alana wanted to bond Perrin, and Fael was like, we're going to have a conversation, and here's the thing. I will kill you if you try to bond Perrin. And they're like, okay. Yeah, you're the scariest person in this entire series. All right.
Yeah, but anyway, so that happened. And like, this hasn't been done for hundreds of years. So they're both astounded at how strong Rand is, because they tried to like shield him and he was able to break their shield.
Right.
Yeah. And so then we cut over to Rand, who is horrified by what happened about what happened to him, and the fact that he can feel Alana, because again, that's not connected. Okay. Forever. He goes to the farm where men are working. He knows that Taim got rid of the master of the sword, and he tells him to bring him back. And Taim is like, why? These men could like still fight with their, powers. And he's like, well, what if they're ever shielded? You don't know how, like, they need to know how to fight so they can protect themselves. And then Taim is like, I want to go look for more men. And Rand is like, I guess. We cut over to Nynaeve. She's very paranoid about what the little tower will be doing. And she wants to eavesdrop. Mogadine also doesn't sweat. And they're like, how do you do that? And she's like, it's just years of practice. It's not, guys. Nynaeve has to copy notes for 2 of the Aes Sedai and go to another lesson with Theodrin. She's nervous about the reliability of the Adam ever since Mogadine explained how to unravel a tie-off shield, because she doesn't want Mogadine to be able to get past them. Elaine is trying to give Nynaeve tips on how to be good to the Aes Sedai. After she leaves, Mogadine seems to become more confident and starts trying to talk Nynaeve into leaving. Nynaeve realizes that Elaine left the Adam bracelet and she has no way to directly control Mogadine, and it hits her confidence really hard. Mogadine mentions Semirag citing what will happen to Nynaeve if she's caught. Nynaeve finally leaves in a panic. In the hallway, one of the accepted is keep up your pace, get out of here. Nynaeve sees Gareth Bryn outside the Little Tower because he's worried they're going to go back on his promises and join the White Tower again. And everyone is nervous, and there's lots of rumors circulating. Nynaeve finds Brigitte and this girl who they traveled with, who really liked him until she found out they weren't real Aes Sedai, and then she thought that was permission to treat them like the worst people in the entire effing world.
Awful.
She's awful, and she's jealous that Brigitte has friends who aren't her.
I can't believe that she has friends.
Well, and then there were 2 kids who were with Maragain, aka Mogadine, and they are back to normal. And Nynaeve starts to become paranoid that they'll reveal that Mogadine isn't who she says she is. Nynaeve asks Brigitte if she will help them leave. Nynaeve hopes that Tom and Julian will return in time to come with them. Brigitte suggests Uno, but Nynaeve says no. Nynaeve then asks Brigitte to spy on the Little Tower, and she's like, no. Then another accepted arrives, another novice arrives, and she tells Nynaeve that the women are waiting for her. But she also knew that Nynaeve was pretending to be an Aes Sedai. And again, they treat this as a reason to treat them like they're awful, they're never going to become Aes Sedai again.
Did you know that people who pretended to be Aes Sedai were punished with the worst punishment ever? They were stilled or killed, and really.
It was so dramatic. They're the 2 most powerful people. That's why they get to break so many effing rules, guys. Right. It doesn't apply to them. But anyway, so she was late to tell her to go see the women. So Nynaeve is really worried she's going to get punished, but they really just want to talk to her about Rand. She goes to Theodrin's house for her lesson. She passes the Little Tower and tries to eavesdrop, and she sneaks around back to listen. She doesn't really hear any good information. And they talk about summoning a biddable child. Then she notices that Theodrin sees Nynaeve listening in, but she pretends it doesn't happen. They leave for their lesson. Nynaeve is still trying to work on her block, and she actually wants to learn how to channel now. She goes over to Elaine and she begs her to leave, and Elaine is like, no, that's a bad idea. Then suddenly Tarna Fear, the Red Aja, enters. She tells Elaine that Elida wants her back in the White Tower, but Elaine refuses to go. Tarna dismisses her to talk to Nynaeve. She says she was a wilder too, but Galena took a personal interest in her and beat her block out of her, so she should too. She tells Nynaeve that she and Egwene are priceless for what they know about Rand, and she asks where Egwene is. Nynaeve says she has not seen her in months. Tarna tries to convince her to return to the White Tower and tells them all she knows about Rand, but Nynaeve denies knowing much, and nobody
she tells them
believes
the
her.
same stuff like all the time, and she's just like, I don't know, this is how he was growing up, like, and they're like, that's
He was a good
not
kid.
it. There's gotta be more.
I know these women are
She's
kind
like,
of the worst.
I don't know. We didn't really live in the same area because he lived out on a farm and I lived in town. So it was kind of a town kid, country kid thing.
There's also like a 7-year age difference. So like, yeah. Tarna knows that Sion and Leonie are there, and she hints about knowing about Logain. She says she's leaving in the morning and Nynaeve should come with her. Later, Nynaeve and Elaine talk. And Elaine's like, I really think we should stay. And they decide to use Tela Anriad to use need to find a way to convince the Solidar Aes Sedai that they should not go back to Elida. So they go to sleep and they like go to Tarvalon trying to look for stuff. They look and they find some Angreal, but they're like, we can't get in there. And then they go to a city with lots of bridges and canals and they use need again. They are in a dingy street. And then they find a small storeroom where they see a large box and there's like mostly junk in it, but then they see a 2-foot bull. Elaine tests it and she determines that it's a powerful Terra Angreal and it does something to the weather.
Yeah, it like controls the weather because there's like smoke and stuff coming out of it. It's cool.
Yeah. And they determine that they're in Abu Dar. Elaine tells Nynaeve that Abu Dar wise women are supposed to know more about herbs than anyone else, and they return to their bodies. They talk briefly. Elaine goes to sleep. Nynaeve remembers that Theodrin just wanted her to stay up all night, and so she cries and gets out of bed and walks around. And at that point, they thought they saw Egwene, and it turns out that Egwene was there in Tela Anriad, and she spotted them and she ran. She isn't supposed to be there, but she goes there nightly after the Lanfear attack. Having run into Nynaeve and Elaine by accident, she says she's never going to the White Tower again. She has noted that she's seen a copper-skinned woman 4 times in Tarvalon. She's seen another handsome woman very often in the White Tower and also in the Heart of the Stone and in Caemlyn. She also caught glimpses of Rand, Perrin, and Lan, but thinks that they must have been accidental dreams. Suddenly, a dream comes towards her. And again, trigger warnings for consent issues. Because she goes into Gawain's dream. The beginning of it is Gawain saving her from the monstrous Rand. And she's like, why does he hate Rand so much? And she cannot escape the dream, quote unquote. She can.
But she's like, oh, there's 2 of me, but I really want to be in here.
And so then, like, it's a fade to black, but it's pretty much like they had sex in his dream. But again, consent is between 2 parties who can actually agree. He did not agree to her actually being in that dream. It was disgusting to me.
Yeah.
I don't like Gawain, and I still think that that was a form of consent issues.
Yep.
And I talked to my roommate about it, even though she doesn't read these books, because we both thought it was gross. Like,
yeah. It is
gross. It's not okay. He didn't know she was in there or that she has these powers.
I don't like that she's going into everyone's dreams when they don't know about it. Like,
yeah,
that's so problematic to me. It's one thing if she's like going and like Perrin is there awake too or whatever and talking to her. And
or she's
he's
trying
like in a
to
wolf
communicate.
dream, or if she's trying to communicate with Nynaeve and Elaine. But this is like another level because people don't realize that she's there.
Right. I agree. I think that this is hugely problematic for this character. And like, I do understand that in the 90s, things were different. People saw things differently, but reading it in 2021, it feels very inappropriate. It's inappropriate.
It is.
So anyway, let's get away from this disgustingness. Nynaeve wakes up because she's like kind of falling asleep and there are inanimate objects lurching and flying everywhere. And all of a sudden, for no inexplicable reason, she's like, it's a bubble of evil.
I love that term.
And she like runs out and people are being attacked. They run out and like a bunch of women are joined together and they decide to join in so they can make 13. And like Elaine makes sure she takes off the Adam before she connects with them because they probably could have seen it. Nicola has a foretelling, the lion sword, the dedicated spear, she who sees beyond, 3 on a boat, and he who is dead yet lives. The great battle is done, but the world not done with battle. The land divided by the return, and the guardians balance the servants. The future teeters on the edge of a blade.
And then she's like, did I say something?
And then it's all over. One of the Aes Sedai is like, it was definitely one of the Forsaken. And Nynaeve and Elaine were like, nope, it was a bubble of
It was the bubble
evil.
of evil.
And like Theodrin is like, and passes by, and Nynaeve's like, I need to stay awake, but I'm too tired, so I'm gonna fall asleep. Egwene wakes up because she has a bad headache from being inappropriate in people's dreams that they did not consent to.
Mm-hmm.
And she always seems to have these issues when she's intolerant on Rod. She dreams that and then she has like all these dreams for Gawain. He's kneeling while she cupped his head in her hands. She dreamed of taking him by the shoulders and trying to turn him to face the other way against his will. Again, against his will. Once he brushed her hands away roughly. The other time she was somehow stronger than he. The two blended together hazily. And another, he began swinging a door closed on her, and she knew if that narrowing gap of light vanished, she was dead. Perrin came and stood before her, a wolf lying at his feet, a hawk and a falcon perched on his shoulder, glaring at each other over his head. We know who they are. Gross. Mm-hmm. Seemingly unaware of them, he kept trying to throw away the axe of his until finally he ran, the axe floating around the air, chasing him. Oh, that's such a funny dream. Again, Perrin, he turned away from a tinker and ran faster and faster, though she called for him to come back. Mat spoke strange words she almost understood the own language, and two ravens alighted on his shoulders, claws sinking through his coat into flesh beneath. He seemed no more aware of them than Perrin of his hawk and falcon, yet defiance passed across his face, and with grim acceptance. In another, a woman, face shrouded in shadow, beckoned him toward greater danger. Egwene did not know what, only that it was monstrous. Elaine ran to his knees with one hand, again forcing them to do things they do not want. Elaine and Min and Aviendha sitting in a silent circle around him, each in turn reaching out to lay a hand on him. Again, weird dream.
Why?
Him walking towards a burning mountain, something crunching beneath his boot. She stirred and whimpered. The crunching things were the seals of the Dark One's prison, shattered with every step. She knew it. Her dreams turn to nightmares. The wise ones wake her up and let her know she can rejoin them in the dream world. The Aes Sedai are being awful. They don't know why they're the worst. As Elaine is dealing with the aftermath of the day before, Elaine and Nynaeve catch up to Sheriam, who is like with the Aes Sedai, and they ask to speak to her in private, and they all discuss the terror anchor, all they saw. And Sheriam is like, I'll get people who are in Abu Dar to take care of it. And they're like, we want to go. And she's like, no. And then Nynaeve blows up, and she recognizes that few of the Aes Sedai are involved in the circles last night, meant that only few are planning a defense against the Forsaken. And the reason is they live in too afraid to actually take action. And then Nynaeve is punished for saying the truth out loud.
Nynaeve in this book is surprising to me because she kind of is a little bit meek. And
she's a lot meek. I think in the last book, we talked about in the last book that like she kind of got beaten down a lot to the point where even I was like, can we not? Like, she's a strong character. I don't think she deserves how much of a beating she takes in that book. And I do think that this is the ramifications of that beating, where now she's like second guessing herself.
Self-esteem anymore.
We're like, I wanted her to have like self-discovery, but I didn't want her to turn.
She should like not have a journey of figuring out who she is and, you know, not screaming at people all the time. But I think that it was just so sudden, and now it's just like she has no self-esteem.
I would agree with that. I think she's really taken a beating in this book, and I don't like seeing that in her because I wanted her to have self-discovery, self-growth, but I didn't want to see it like her agency taken away from her. And a little bit of it feels like it's her agency.
Right.
And then it goes over to Sheriam, and like they pretty much are like, yeah, Nynaeve was right, but we still had to punish her. Did they? No. Then we go over to Rand, and he can still feel Alana. He is still talking to people. Lords and ladies come in, and there's a person named Lorien who was angry with Morgase and now supports Dylan for the throne. And Dylan is like, no, I'll support Rand once Elaine is crowned, but not before then. And Rand's like, that might not be good enough. But then Rand dismisses them, but he holds Dylan back because he noticed her looking at him oddly. And we're about to have a huge crushing thing about Rand's backstory. She asks him who his mother is, and he says Kari Al Thor, he says his mother was Shael and his father was Janduin, but he grew up in the Two Rivers. Dylan explains that he looks like Tigraine, who was the former queen of Andor, who disappeared more than 25 years ago and left beside her husband Terengale, who then marries Morgase. And her son Galad, meaning that Galad is definitely
brothers.
It's, guys, you heard it here. Probably not first, because a lot of you have already read this book.
Breaking news! Galad and Rand are brothers.
But there are rumors that Gitara Moroso, who was like an Aes Sedai, had a hand in it, and was like, you need to go to the Shail, the Aiel, or like the world will end. And then Tigraine's brother Luke rode north and disappeared a year before Lord Luke, ?
His uncle.
And there are rumors that Gitara was responsible for that as well. Rand is shocked, realizing that Tigraine was the woman that Aiel found who became Shail. She really was his mother. And pretty much after this, he's like, so like, how related to Elaine am I?
He's like, wait a minute. Is she my sister now?
And they're like, well, we're like cousins in like name alone. And he's like, okay. And then it's just like Rand planning out like going towards Samael, but suddenly a man comes in who's like, Samael offers a truce through Samael's voice. And he's like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I'm coming for you and you're going to die. And then the man just dies in front of Rand. And then they kind of, he sees Aviendha and he wonders where she got her necklace from. These are all just things that happen in this book, guys. Rand travels to Cairhien. Like the maidens accompany him. He still vaguely feels Alana. Luz Theron keeps muttering in his head. You find out that Berelain and Ruark are taking care of Cairhien. And Luz Theron has the hots for Berelain.
Berelain has some sketchy dreams about a lot of men that Egwene knows.
Oh God. Yeah. They all understand that Berelain is in charge because she's the one with the leadership skills who Cairhien will not see as a threat. Rand asks after Egwene. Berelain and Egwene do not like each other because not one woman in this book likes Berelain.
No.
The wise one said Egwene still needs rest and light exercise. Rand says he'd like to see her. In the courtyard below, Rand sees women practicing with swords. Berelain explains they're mimicking the maidens. Ruark is disgusted because this is cultural appropriation and it's a mockery of Giotto because, again, it's cultural appropriation. And he's like, Rand, will you respect our wishes? And he's like, no. Rand has started a school there. And he finds out that he must kill one of the Aiel for killing a man in Cairhien who had put dragon tattoos on his arm. Because again, cultural appropriation. Say it with me, everyone. He's mad they waited for him to decide that the man must be killed for this based on his laws because he really liked that guy. He goes over to the school and he asks the man about a warder bond. He says he does not think it can be broken. Rand then asks if he has learned any more about where Tarmangayden will be. He says it will not really be the last battle because the wheel of time turns. There will come a time again when the Dark One's prison is whole and no one ever remembers him. No one can do what the creator did. Yet somehow the prison will get back to the way it was in the Age of Legends. Rand asks if there's any reason to break the seals, and Luz Theron chants in his head, break the seals, break the seals.
Like frat party chanting.
Shot, everybody. If I want to date myself for when I was at a frat parties. Oh my gosh. Egwene is with the wise ones when Aviendha arrives and she like wants to talk to her. They're like, no, leave. So she kind of wanders around a little bit. She is like ready to go into the world of dreams so she can like give messages to Rand from Elaine because everyone helps Elaine.
Why
no matter what.
Are they helping her so much? Like, I know what I'll do if I can do this. I'll help Elaine deliver messages to the guy she has a crush on. What? Aren't there other things you could be doing?
Yeah, I know. We'll get to it in the women episode because I've kind of had a new epiphany on Elaine's character and why I don't care as much for her. I just don't care about her. I figured it out, I think. But anyway, she goes and she sees Rand and Rand is like, will you tell me where Elaine is? And she says no. So he tries to use Taverin to affect it and it almost works.
Right.
She leaves in anger. She's desperate to return to Tela Anriad legally so she can meet with Elaine and Nynaeve. And she wonders why Sheriam and the others have not yet approached Rand. Rand thinks how much Egwene has changed and how he feels distant from her because you guys all do. Come on.
I was going to say, everyone is just like, all these people have changed. And it's like, you have.
one of his main wise ones, Sulin, or no, one of his main women of the sword is like, goes to her POV to be like, I'm annoyed that I have to keep track of Rand from such a distance.
Right.
I don't know why.
Well, and she doesn't like the small guard he's keeping either.
Right. That night, Rand dreams of the Age of Legends and strange flying things and ground like vehicles in Elena. It's the first time that he has shared Ileana, sorry. It's the first time he has shared Lews Theron's dreams.
Yeah.
Aviendha spends the night with the Wise Ones. The next morning, a crowd is waiting outside his apartment. The Aiel treat Berelain almost like a wise one. Like they really love Berelain. And
I don't understand this.
Nobody else does. Nobody else likes Berelain, but the Wise Ones are like, we get her. She's cool.
I mean, I don't have a problem with her, but I just don't understand why people have such strong feelings for her.
I do have a problem with her, again, with consent issues in the second half of this novel. But anyway, he says he has to like go back to Caemlyn immediately. Berelain reports that the Aiel man will be hanged this morning. As he leaves, Berelain asks him to convey her warmest wishes to Perrin and Mat. He opens a gateway, steps through, accompanied by Sulin and the maidens, and like his posse. Melaine comes to, saying the Wise Ones are sending her to consult with Bale. Back in Caemlyn, Rand immediately feels Alana. Sulin is angry with Rand for going first through the gateway. And it's just like they're kind of trying to teach him their ways and like why he has to do this, and he just doesn't get it.
Right.
So the Aiel women like have dreamed about him. There's like a bunch of dreams that are similar to what the Aes Sedai had seen. And then he goes like back into his room and he's like, Aviendha, I can send you back to study with the Wise One. And she's like, I still have toe. And because toe is like when you owe someone something, guys. And he's like, well, you have no toe towards me. And she's like, you know nothing, Rand. And she stomps out.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Exactly. Rand like is like, I would rather do anything than understand women. And Lews Theron laughs at him because, I mean, Lews Theron's all of us in that moment. And Rand's like, shut up.
Well, like her toe for Rand for saving her life, it means that she has to kill herself?
It's not really kill yourself. It's just like toe is more, I mean, like this goes into the culture of the Aiel people, but toe is about like I would say it's like penance. Like we're both Catholic.
Okay.
So it's like you sinned against someone. So penance is very subjective. Like usually, you know, if you have penance, a priest could be like, say 10 Hail Marys, or he can say, as once happened to my aunt, you have to come back here 6 months from now because one of her sins was not going to confession for 15 years. Okay. And so like penance is subjective, but it's usually the person who did the wrong who has to decide what the penance is to make sure that they're on equal playing anymore.
Okay.
So Rand is like, you don't have toe towards me because I didn't save you. Moraine did from Lanfear, so you don't owe me any toe. And she's like, you know nothing. And it's something that like you can't question if someone feels they have toe to you. So by him saying you have no toe to me, it's insulting because that's up to her. That's not up to him.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Okay, I'm glad we had this conversation.
Well, I'm just like really confused because I'm like, so she thinks she has to kill herself to fulfill this? But okay,
no,
that makes
she just
a lot
has
more
to
sense.
Do penance. And then we cut over to Aviendha's point of view, and she still thinks she has toe towards him because she does think he saved her from Lanfear, and towards Elaine, not Rand specifically, for wronging her for not like protecting Rand from her own vagina.
Yeah,
pretty much. Rand is in his room and he finds out a bunch of Ogier have arrived. It's Loyal's mother, Elder Alar, who's like one of Loyal's favorite people. And then the Aerith woman, his betrothed from the steady when he thought she was cute.
Like, she's so cute. And Matt's like, oh, I'm like, slap you, Matt.
That was when we really hated Matt, guys. Remember then, they're very concerned about Loyal because he's been gone from the steading for like 10 years. And that's a really long time, or 7 years or 10. I don't know.
I can't remember.
But he's been gone very, very long time. And it's very strange for Ogier's, and like it could kill him for being gone that way. So they really want to go to him. And he's like, well, I also want to learn about the Waygates because like they're not really on a map. And the Ogier are like, you don't just remember. And he's like, we live a lot less long than you.
Right.
And so then he realized that there's one in Eredol, and he asks them to show him the Waygate. And he's really anxious about the Shadar Logoth Waygate in particular, but it doesn't really explain why. He offers to send the Ogier to Two Rivers through a portal to find Loyal. If they show him the Shadar Logoth like Waygate pretty much.
Right. Through like the skimming thing that he's doing.
Yeah.
Correct?
Well, no, he's not doing skimming anymore. He's actually learned how to do gateways.
Oh, okay. I got confused by that then.
Yeah. No, in this book, you find out that in between the like couple weeks where we haven't seen Rand, he did learn how to make a gateway.
Okay.
So he no longer skims.
Okay.
He goes with an escort into Shadar Logoth and like recounts the story of the Trolloc Wars, and Luz Theron pipes up in Rand's head. Rand thinks for a moment, and Luz Theron addressed him personally, like by what Rand was thinking. He remembers killing Ishamael and Lanfear dying, and they lead them to the Waygate in the middle of an open square. Rand weaves a trap using all 5 powers, and he wondered if he can cleanse the ways in some time. And then he also feels like the taint of evil Shardar Logoth. As they prepare to leave, Rand notices one of them is missing. They search for half a day and they fail to find her. As dusk falls, Rand offers to take the Ogier directly to Two Rivers, and they greatly accept. Rand opens a gateway to a place about 2 miles from Emmonsfield. They see a little kid who's like staring at the gateway, and he's like, that kid's gonna have a story to tell.
Okay, don't you think that would be like a very funny moment in the TV series if they could just like have some kid just standing there like,
it reminds me of The Incredibles where the little kid like sees him lift a
car. Like, yeah, he's just like across the street, like, whoa,
like
that
2 hours.
Awesome.
Yeah, what are you waiting for? Something amazing, I guess. But anyway, we cut over to Matt, who's riding south, and they hit a tinker's camp where all the tinkers are slaughtered, which is like unknown for tinkers because no one touches them because they're pacifists. And then they're holding some, like, there's a sign on them that's like, tell the dragon reborn.
Like, what?
But you didn't sign the note, so we don't know who did it. Like, this is a bad note. Matt has the bandmate camp, avoiding the sight. As night falls, Matt sits outside the tent. He reads the inscription on the spear of his spear that he got from the twisted doors. Thus is our treaty written. Thus is agreement made. Thought is the arrow of time. Memory never fades. What was asked for is given. The price is paid. And he's like, the price was paid. I got the worst end of the deal. I just got this Fox medallion that makes me impervious to Aes Sedai powers.
Which is cool.
Yes, it's very cool. Suddenly he hears a noise and he sees figures moving. He sees people approaching and shouts a warning. There are a dozen Aiel who are killed at the cost of half again of like Esmat's men. He orders a ditch like around the camp, and he goes back to his tent where he sees that it was sliced open. There were cleanly cut ropes and grass indicating that the Aiel came through a gateway. One of the Forsaken sent the Aiel for him. The kid he tried to find a home for, Alvar, comes up to see if he is okay. And he sees that he has shoes, and he's like, what are you doing here? And Alvar was like, that woman just took your money and didn't want to take care of me. And so Matt is like, I guess I'm your daddy now. Like, he just hires him as a personal assistant. He's like, we're going to get you a horse. Grendel visits Samael, and he lies saying Rand agreed to his truce. She said she's like, he's not going to do that, dude. You killed some women Aiel, and he has chivalry. And he's like, I don't get it. She's like, well, times change, you person. You know, she says, Asmodee and Lanfear are dead. Like, there are so many times where the Forsaken are just talking to each other about like, hey, this person's dead. This person's probably
dead, but we don't care because she was playing both sides. She was definitely helping.
We don't know about these people. She's angry she's being forced to work with Samael, but she's afraid to face Rand directly after he took out Ishamael and Robin. She thinks the Great Lord has promised to make Samael nameless, and he tells her to find the others after she leaves. Samael shows that he's been manipulating her. Egwene's running around for exercise. She thinks Rand's discovered traveling. And so she's also hiding from Ruark, like in the Wise Ones, because she knows that Aes Sedai have come to the tower or Aes Sedai from the White Tower have come with an embassy, and she doesn't want them to find out that she's not Aes Sedai, or to have them tell, like, she doesn't want her secret discovered, and she doesn't want anything to happen to herself. She returns to her own tent, and she's too tired to visit Tela and Riyadh, and she dreams of Gawain that night, but not him forcing his way into her dreams like she does to him. I'm so bothered. The next morning, Egwene feels refreshed. Ruark met the 6th Aes Sedai yesterday. They didn't ask about her. She knows 2 of the women, Nasun and Serene, from her novice classes. Queen realizes that they're trying to get into the Aes Sedai dreams. The wise ones are, but they can't. She's like, duh, they know how to block themselves from that. They're not idiots. She tries to spy on them, but then like gets afraid that she's spying on them because she could get caught trying to channel after she heard like some unimportant conversations, and then runs into the love of her life, Gawain. And then she's like, I have to hide. I can't be here. And he was like, I thought you were an alien. And he takes her to a nearby inn. Gawain thinks Rand killed Morghese and Elaine, and Egwene's like Elaine's fine, and he didn't do that. And then she realizes her dream of her holding his head. This is so depressing for me to read, guys. I don't like reading any of this.
Power through.
I'm despondent. She realizes that her dream of her holding his head means that she will bond him as her warder. She asks him not to tell the Aes Sedai that she's there. She also asks that he not raise a hand against Rand until she can prove that he did not kill Morghese. Gawain quickly agrees to both. He agrees to meet her at Dragonwall Gate every day, and they both admit that they love each other, even though they have met a total of like 7 times, and they don't actually love each other. She didn't. Yeah. Well, also, in this book, she just gets rid of that by saying, yeah, Galad's hot, but I really am in love with Gawain. And it's like, because why? You did not know he liked you until the last time you saw him. What happened?
When Elaine was like, he likes you. And we're like, oh.
What happened in the 3 books that we've last seen you two together that all of a sudden he's the love of
literally
your
just
life?
Elaine telling her that
you had sex in the dream world without his consent. That's the only you lost your dream virginity to him, which is not a thing. It's just wrong. I hate this scene. It's so dumb. They're 2 children and they should not be together.
Robert Jordan is a Lord of Chaos.
You're right. He rushes romance so hard.
Oh, he's so bad at romance.
He's the worst I've ever read for romance. It's bad. So then we go over to a bunch of the Aes Sedai from the White Tower. We have like one woman telling the lady Colliver that they plan to escort Rand to Tar Valon. Someone will need to rule Cairhien. Nassoon meets the High Lord Melaine, and they plan to escort Rand. Afterwards, someone will need to rule Cairhien. Like, it's just like a bunch of people being like, this is what's happening, just so you know. Then we go to Serene Nemdal, and she is still working on Barrelane. Galena enters. They have heard a rumor that a Green Aja sister is with Rand and Tyr and is now in Cairhien, and they think it's just Moiraine who's disguising herself or something. I don't know. It's like a very weird,
that didn't make sense to me,
but they're like, she's probably just hiding herself and pretending she's dead because we want to capture her. And she knew that someone was trying to use the eavesdropping trip. They think it was Moiraine. Serena was a year behind Moiraine and was friends with her. They have heard that she's dead, but they do not believe it. Rand is apparently back in Caelin, so they will wait in Cairhien for him to return. Idly, they all are like, I wonder if Rand learned how to travel. He did. Rand can still feel Alana. That's pretty much how every single one of his chapters starts. So Rand is just kind of going around checking in on all the different Aiel. He notes that he hasn't seen Sulin since Shadar Logoth. Lews Theron laughs at him. He asks if he's really there, but he gets no answer.
Yeah, he's like kind of trying to figure out, like, is this a man in here or are these my memories?
Right. As he rides back to Caemlyn, several White Cloaks attack. Desora is killed. The Aiel kill or capture all of them. The attack reminds Kelton of an event near Cedar Cut. They bring one of the White Cloaks to Rand. His cloak is filthy. Rand tells him that he will watch the others hang, then take a message back to Patron Nile. Rand remembers that all the maidens who died for him, including just all the women. And he is like keeping like scars on his arm to remind him of all the maidens he's lost a little bit. It's very strange.
But also it's like he's kind of just like feeling remorse for all these people that are dying for him.
But he also feels worse about the maidens and less about the men because he's like, well, the men can consent to that. And it's like, okay, so can the women.
Okay, fair.
It literally says, well, the men signed up for it. It's like, so did the women. It's just your misogyny that's doing this to you.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. And then he realizes that Lews Theron added Ileana to the list. Back in the royal palace, he gets a message that says the sea folk really want to meet. They really want to meet you. And they're like staying. And he's like, yeah, maybe. And he's like, I'm not going to meet them. He meets with one of the like ladies and he asks her about the history of Andor. And maybe this is when he was like, but how much is like Elaine, my cousin? And that's when that
super
happens.
Relieved that they're not related.
Right. And then he is going back to Kyrene and he asked them not to tell Avienda. Bum, bum, bum. Egwene and Gawain spend the whole like morning kissing. And and he's like, the Aes Sedai have been looking for you. And she's like, I can no. And then she goes back to the Aiel camps. She is invited to like kind of join the wise ones. And she's like, I can't do that. And maybe I should be leaving soon because like you guys don't seem to get it. And then she plans on going with the wise ones to meet the Saladar Aes Sedai, and she plans to be with them for the next meeting in 7 days. She also wants to talk to Elaine and Nynaeve, but a dream makes her uneasy. Egwene dreams of an approaching Elaine and Nynaeve. Every time one of them said a word, they tripped and fell on their faces and dropped a cup or plate or knocked over a vase. Always something that shattered on impact. That was so funny.
I also enjoyed that.
An apprentice tells her that Rand has returned to Kyrene. Egwene is worried about him. He is cautious about Elaida, but he believed Alviarin's letter and thinks he has followers in the White Tower. Egwene quickly goes to the Sun Palace and sneaks in through the kitchen. She gets a servant to take her to Rand's quarters where like he's talking. And Rand is glad to see her. She warns him about Elaida's Aes Sedai, and he seems to accept her warning. He tells her he will be humble when they meet. So she tries to use reverse psychology on him, and he's like, "Okay, I really trust your judgment." And she's like, "What the fuck?" At the one time, no. And she's like, "You should really meet the Wave Mistresses because like they're important." He noticed that like Rand said he spoke to Berylane about them, learned about them, and he noticed that something was bothering Berylane, but she would not say what. He finds out that the Aes Sedai arrived, and Rand talks to himself, and then he weaves an invisibility shield around Egwene. She recalls that Moiraine did the same thing once. They come in, and Rand checks the women to make sure that they are not Aes Sedai who come in besides like the few who came in because he can only control so many. He then tells them not to channel around him, and they keep channeling, and he's like, no, seriously. And they keep channeling, and he's like, no, but really seriously. Then they offer him gold for the White Tower, and he like pretends that he's like interested.
He's like, sure.
I'll definitely come. Like, don't worry about it. As they begin to leave, Rand says, how is Alviarin? Galena answers that she is well, then looks surprised. After they leave, Rand tells Egwene that Galena is one of Alviarin's associates who supported him at the White Tower. And he cites the Crythian cycle. The unstained tower breaks and bends knees to the forgotten sign. Egwene does not believe it. She asks him to describe how he travels using Sidene, and he says he bends the pattern so that the two places are close, then he bores a hole. Egwene is like, that's completely wrong for what I do. Then she's like, maybe I could travel through Tel'aran'rhiod through the flesh, creating a similarity between the places. And then Rand is also talking to himself again. We go over to the Aes Sedai who just left, and she asks Galena if she is a friend of Alviarin's, but she denies it and changes the subject. Galena and Corin do not believe that he could really sense them channeling, but Nassoon thinks that he might have. She is irritated that the head of the Brown Asha forced her to come on the expedition instead of just asking. She tells the other two that she senses another Aes Sedai in the room. To herself, she admits that it might have been a wise one who could channel. Two of the three that she ran into in the royal library could. Galena thinks this is a confirmation that Moiraine is still alive, but Corin says that it was a Green Aja sister they heard about. They discuss sending someone to find her, and they all agree that they have plenty of time. Nasuna thinks her paper on Rand will be the highlight of her career. And thus ends the first half of Robert Jordan's Book 6, The Lord of Chaos, or The Lord of No Consent, because ain't nobody trying to get consent here.
You're correct.
What do we think of the first half of the book?
I'm not liking this one as much, but that's okay. It's kind of a slog, and there's a lot that happens that is like problematic. So
it feels like the plot was very rushed in this book. Like it just felt like we sat for too long in the beginning, like stuff like setting up, here's where this person is, and here's where this person is. And I guess like this is a little bit of a spoiler for next week. The next half of the book is just like rush. Like it's just like a rush of like, now this happens, now this happens, now this happens, now this happens. And it's like, did this need to have, like, could we have cut out The Great Hunt as a book and made it 4 chapters?
Right.
And could we have made this book the next, longer, where it's more setup and plot mixed between each other? I think I would have preferred that. And this feels very weird. Like it feels like Robert Jordan now knows.
It's like a huge buildup to, like you said, a very quick ending.
Yes. So it just feels a little bit off to me. And I didn't enjoy this book as much as others.
Right.
Especially coming off of what my favorite book was, the last one. So
the last 2 were so good. And
I know.
This one. Yeah.
Well, guys, this is where we leave you with lots of frustration.
The end of the podcast.
We got to a book we did not enjoy, and now we're done.
We're done with podcasting. We're quitting.
But what you can do after you listen to this episode, and definitely don't unsubscribe because we may change our minds. We reserve the right.
We're quitting for the next hour.
We're quitting for the next hour. We're just going to pretend it didn't happen. After you're done listening to this episode, go on over to Fiction Fans Pod and download all of their episodes, but especially this week's episode, because it will be starring the 2 of us as guest hosts, or no, as guest people on the podcast. They are hosting us. Yes. Thank you. Guest is just a term you can use. Yes. We are guests on their podcast this week.
We don't have to have 2 words there.
I just like descriptor words. We will be discussing American Hippo. Great book. So much better than this one.
Oh my gosh, a million times better.
And you should listen to both of us. And then, you should rate, review, and subscribe to both podcasts. Rating, reviewing, and subscribing is a great way to get us out to other people who can join in and add to both of our conversations. You can also follow us at OWWR Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or email us your thoughts on if you hated book 6 just as much as we did to owwrpod@gmail.com. We hope you have a wonderful time, and we hope you enjoy reading the next half of The Lord of Chaos to join us next week. Bye.
Bye.